In this episode of the Tech John, we discuss somebody on the TTJ crew getting a MacBook Neo, what we can expect from WWDC, the FBI buying location data to track citizens, and Amazon working on a Fire phone again. Got all this and more for you in episode 220 of the Tech John from Columbus, Ohio. I'm your host, Robb Dunewood.
And coming out of Philly, it's your girl Tech Life Steph.
And out of Atlanta, this is Terrance Gaines, a.k.a. Brother Tech, a.k.a. Mr. Pollen. The weather
it's about that time.
Yeah, the porch is all dusted with a little yellow haze. All my cars are dusted with little yellow haze. The weather's getting warmer, which means the windows come down, which means the pollen comes into the car and into your face. So I've been popping allergy medicine and rubbing my eyes. So I just got to deal with it until mid to late March. And we'll be back on track.
Same.
Yeah, I actually went out this morning, and my I have a Japanese cherry blossom tree, and it blossomed. So I got those really nice, pretty whitish, pinkish flowers on the tree. They'll be there, I don't know, for another day or two, and then they all seem to go. And it looks very, very nice, except for the fact there's nothing else that looks nice around it. Everything else is still gray and dark brown and dark green, and leaves still on the ground because I got an oak tree, and so it's. I get you, man.
Just enjoy the tree while you have it.
So here's what we had yesterday. It was It got up to 83 degrees. Yesterday night, it was snowing. It's like only in Ohio. Only in Ohio. But anyway, what's going on, y'all? It seems like it's been a long week. It's only been 7 days, but what's going on with y'all?
Chilling, busy. The show and busy prepping for to be out next week. So just trying to get stuff together. For conference.
Well, we're going to jump right into it because I couldn't remember if I told y'all this or not, but your boy got a MacBook Neo last week. Actually, I've had it now. I got it 2 Fridays ago. And let me say, I understand why people like Macs as much as they do. It is a solid machine. I was about to call it the PC. It's not a PC. It is a solid machine. For something that's only got 80.
What color did you get?
I got indigo, so it's kind of like bluish purple one. But I hear two thoughts. First thought: it is the greatest laptop that man has ever made. It is not.
Or where you hear that from?
Right, because I'm like, nobody's been saying that.
I hear that from people like me who've never had a Mac as something you're trying to use as a primary driver. Oh, this thing is great! I can't believe I didn't switch. It's not that. It is a good device. It is. I would expect that if I were to go get a Windows PC that costs $600, it would equally be nice as far as the operating system and how things run, because it would be more memory and more and more hard disk space. But the build quality of this is what I think a lot of people are saying, man, this is so nice for like a $600 device. And then there's all the folks who are saying this thing sucks. It can't do anything that my Mac can do. And it's like, well, duh, there's no Mac that is low powered. This is the lowest powered Mac that is currently made. So if you're trying to compare it to the M5 MacBook Pro with 64 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes hard disk, then you probably would be upset if this is what you move to. But I am very impressed.
And what was your goal or reason for getting it? What is your use case?
So for me, it was literally just to I've been saying for a long time, I think I'm going to get a Mac. I'm going to get a Mac Mini, and I to full disclosure, I am not someone who has never used Apple devices. I actually have a MacBook Pro that I've running Linux on it right now to make it into do a little bit things other than Macs don't do. But I've had Mac Minis. I've just never had anything that I was going to attempt to make my primary driver. So my goal is, can I make this device right here be my primary driver, or at least enough of a primary driver to make me say, you know what, I really need to get a new one that has more, or not a new one, a bigger one that has just more in it that supplies the needs that I have. Or it's like, it was kind of cool, but I'm just fine using Windows, and we'll go back and continue to use Windows.
Robb just wanted to buy another toy. Is what it sounded like to me. That's what it sounded like to me. You saw a shiny new object, and you just had to. And I'm not mad. Listen,
here's what I can't do.
with your disposable income, whatever you want.
Oh,
But it sounds like you just wanted to try the shiny new thing that was out, and I'm not mad at that.
And I do this all the time. Now, this was a purchase for work, so to speak. I am getting it so that I can actually do unboxing video, that I can do here's my first impressions of it. And then I want to live with the thing. I truly am going to see how this thing works as like my primary driver. Now, if there's some editing stuff that I can't do, I will make my current rig be the secondary, and this will just be the thing that I use for doing everything else. But like for doing this call right now, I'm not using it for that right now. It's you know, I should show you, sitting right here over my shoulder. So I'm not using it yet to do this show, but probably within the next week or two.
I do like the build quality though. I think it looks pretty cool. All the curves, and you know, it does look very sturdy. I was fairly impressed with that part of it. I think there's one that comes in like a chartreuse or citron or something like that. I kind of like that color.
Yeah, there's like a green one, a kind of pink one, a silver one, and this indigo one here. The indigo is probably the only color that I've actually said correctly, but it's kind of green, kind of pink, kind of silver. And the build quality, I don't expect a $600 laptop to have this build quality. So that is one of the things that is shocking me. And it works fine. I don't know that there's any reason that I would continue to need to say I need to have a PC. I don't know that that's the case. I think just like when you move, Steph, it wasn't like you had a PC because you needed it. It's just that's what you've always used until you just got upset with the particular Dell you had, and then you switched. And it was like, okay, let me learn this new interface, and you are good to go. And it's just not a big thing. I'm kind of in that same bucket. I'm not running any applications on here that I can't get for Mac and PC. I'm trying to think. I don't think I run any apps at all on my PC that I cannot also run on a Mac. So for me, it's just like, this is just what I've always used. So the device, the build quality is surprising. You generally do not see in a $600 device, because $600 is kind of getting you to the top of the low end or the bottom of the mid tier. You generally don't see this level of build quality. There may be some metal on a $600 PC, but usually it's all plastic. Like you can like flex the keyboard and stuff like that. It just doesn't have the same level of build quality. This, if I put this next to this MacBook Pro that I've got down here on the floor, the build quality is just as good as that. If I put it next to my daughter's MacBook Air, she's got an M2 MacBook Air that's like 3 years old. It's just as good build quality as that. A little less high end. Hers has got, I think, a terabyte hard drive in it, and I think I bumped her up to 16 gigs of RAM. But as far as the build quality, it's a perfectly fine device. So, Terrance, what have you been hearing about it, Terrance? You seem like you had something to say.
No, I was just saying, most people that I've seen, they say it's a dope MacBook for $600. Nothing more, nothing less. I haven't heard people say, "Oh, this is the greatest thing." Also, I haven't heard people say, "Oh, you can't do anything with it." I think Apple did a good job of marketing this to the market that is intended for, students in high school, students in college, people who just want to browse on the internet but don't have $1,100, $1,200, $1,300. I think it hits the sweet spot that Apple has been missing for a long time. They'll probably move a lot of units, especially in the education space. And it'll just increase their market share by, PC market, personal computer market share by just a little bit more.
So,
yeah, I think it was a smart move. MacBooks are cost prohibitive. You know what I mean? Like they're not cheap computers, nor should they be. It definitely is an investment because you are getting, I feel, as someone who has used PCs my whole life and used to sell them, like a MacBook is just a superior quality piece of hardware. And I've had very high end HPs and, top of the line Dells and everything else. And they're great, but there's just something different, I think, about Apple design. And this is not me standing at all. I think just objectively, there's something different about Apple design from a hardware perspective that just feels upgraded. So it does become an investment. And if there is a way to get into the brand, to get introduced to the brand at a price that, is actually affordable for most people, I'm all for it. So I think, Christmas time is going to be something else for Apple, because I know a lot of people are going to want this, and a lot of parents are going to be able to get it for kids. So, yeah, Apple, this was a smart decision on their part.
And Rob, again, what do you foresee using this for in a perfect world? What would you use this computer for?
This particular one, I want to see if it can be my PC to do all the stuff that I do except for editing, because my world literally is just in a web browser. Like right now, we're using StreamYard inside of a web browser. I can plug my microphones into this because I have a hub that I can plug into the fast USB into the USB-C port, and have access to my microphone and to my camera and all that kind of stuff. So I think that for the most part, I can do all of the regular day-to-day stuff that I do, with the exception of editing.
And you would say editing. What are you doing specifically?
Like video editing.
I ain't seen no videos.
No,
you got to put me a link.
Video editing, audio editing, and there's stuff that I do that is not for me. It's like stuff that I do for my church and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I just don't know that this is going to handle some of that. Like, literally just converting some of that stuff. It's a process that somebody set up, and I run it on my PC because it's the fastest thing I have access to. And I don't know. I don't even have an intention on setting this up to do that. But I think for me, here's what it'll be. If I like it enough, because I am on a 6.5-year-old Dell. Now, it's a nice one. It's a Dell XPS 15. I can't remember the exact numbers on it, but it has 2 terabyte hard drive in it. It has 32 gigs of RAM in it. So it was a really nice laptop when I got it 6.5 years ago, but is now starting to get to the point to where, this is slow. Okay, I got to wait for this. Oh, this is slow. So it's time to upgrade it. So what I foresee happening is, if I really like using this Mac for like the next month or 6 weeks or so, I could see a decision coming. Do I buy whatever the next new Dell is? Get another new Dell, the highest end XPS with 15-inch screen, and maybe I'll go to 64 gigs RAM on it, and another 2 terabyte hard drive in it. Or do I say, but I could just as easily get a Mac because they're cute, and I like how it looks.
It's not just because they're cute.
Well, see, I don't know. I'm coming to it with open hands, and I'm completely open. I don't really I can't use this Mac because of this. I'm not a gamer on my work laptop, so I won't miss that, because I'm not going to be a gamer on whatever Mac I would get. So it's literally just, is this something that works for the use case that I have, which is podcasting, a little bit of light editing, plugging 2-3 cameras in, that kind of thing. I don't think that the MacBook Neo will be that for me, but could a MacBook be that for me? I think that it probably could be. This will be the gateway drug, so to speak, to see, do I like Mac enough to where I will actually use it. Now, I got to find an app that'll allow me to have copy and paste across my Android device and the Mac. It's making me not like Mac, because it's just not easy to do. So I want to go through and test probably 2 or 3 apps until I find one that I like and buy that. That is one thing that I miss, not having the ability to copy something on my computer and it's just on my phone, not having the ability to copy something on my phone and it's just on the computer. So that.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out. Well, Stephanie highlighted why you got it. I'm curious as to why you didn't get another Dell or a Lenovo or a Asus or another high-end PC that does everything you needed to do.
Because this is the new hotness right now. Everybody's talking about it.
Like I said, he just wanted a new toy.
It's a new toy that I can get and I can talk about, and people will say, "Oh, I wonder what Rob thinks about this." There's 6 or 7 folks out there that might actually have an inclination of,
Absolutely.
I wonder what Rob thinks about this. So Rob went out and got one for the 6 or 7 folks who might want to know what I think about it, and I want to talk about it, and I want to let you know in pieces of content that will be coming out. I've already started putting some out, and it'll be coming out. So.
We'll be listening. Yeah. We'll be looking for the unboxing and listening for your first thoughts, your initial thoughts.
So it's like, I'll tell you another one. I'm interested in whenever Apple releases their folding device, the folding phone that comes out. Is that a 2026 thing? Is that a 2027?
I wouldn't get that. I don't know.
I just want to. So here's what it is. Will it be? Will it replace my Android phone? If I'm being 100% honest with you, probably not. But is it a cool enough device to where I can get it, review it, and say, here's what I like about it, here's what I don't like about it, and put that out on the internet, and people say Robb is completely off his rocker or Robb nailed it. That is ultimately what I'm going for. So yeah, what I have bought a Neo to replace this $4,700 laptop that I bought, literally 6 and a half years ago. No, I'm not replacing with a 600. I mean, literally, how many how many of these Neos could I have got for what I paid for this and what I expect to pay for another laptop that is in this class? So I'm not saying that I'm doing that. I've never used a Mac as my primary device. The last primary Apple device that I had was the PowerBook 520C back like in 1996 or 7 when I was in college, when I was in grad school. So this is just, like I said, it was, you know,
it's an experiment.
It's a new shiny thing. And it was kind of like, I was talking with some other folks like, hey, what do you think if we were to review this? Cool, do it. All right, let me go. And here's the other part. There's an Apple store right around the corner from the house. When I say right around the corner, I could walk to the Apple store in under 10 minutes. So it's that kind of close. And other than getting Macs for my daughters and one of my nieces and a nephew here and there, I've never had any reason to go in that store. This was one is like, $600 laptop. Because here's the thing. Now, I do know some people, the immediate reaction was, Google better be worried about this because now you have something that's going to compete with Chromebooks. Not unless Apple's going to knock the price of this down to like $140 to $189, which schools are getting Chromebooks for. You can still get 2.5 Chromebooks for what you can get one of these. So I don't think that is the play for Apple. Apple generally doesn't roll that way of discounting their stuff like that. So I don't think that Chromebooks particularly have an issue.
No, this is for that consumer that wanted to be a part of the ecosystem and didn't want to spend $2,000 to do it. And I think that was a lot of people. I mean, I know beyond just not wanting to, have to relearn a new OS, the cost was always an issue for me. It was definitely, cost. I mean, I could have just sucked it up and paid, but I didn't feel compelled to pay the increase in the price when you could have just gotten a PC, that was comparable for, 500, right. To $1,000 less. So it really was, I didn't see at the time the value in just having an Apple device and paying that money for it. Now I see it because, like I said, I have an iPhone, the ecosystem and the compatibility and everything has absolutely been worth it to me to have. So, I get it now, but back then I didn't see that and I just wasn't willing to pay for it. And I think a lot of people were like that. I think a lot of people understand, why Apple's a superior piece of hardware, but I ain't paying $2,300 or whatever. Now you get to have that experience with something that offers you the same level of build quality. You still get, the whole Apple, all the good feels and swag and everything around, the ecosystem and being and owning an Apple product, and you get to do it at a price you can afford. So it's just like a win-win for people.
Now, I will say this to give a shout out to Apple hardware, Apple Silicon. This does not use an M chip. This is using the A18. This is the chip that is in the iPhone 16 that came out last year. And there is nothing that I am doing on. Granted, I've had the thing for 10 days now, but there's nothing that I'm doing this far to makes me think, this is running a processor meant for a phone. It is handling Mac OS on here just fine. It's handling the apps that I'm running on here. And like I said, what am I doing? Looking at websites, browsing, running Chrome, I have done a StreamYard with just the built-in camera just to see, it works just fine. There's no reason to think that if this laptop would have been out in in 2019, 2018, when my daughter went to college, that this wouldn't have been something that she could have gone to school with. She got she got the I think we got her the M2 Mac or the M1. I can't even remember, but there's no reason that she probably couldn't have got this for the stuff that she's doing. And I think that a lot of folks are in that same boat. Now, like I said, I don't think this is going to affect anybody on the low end looking at Chromebooks. I also don't think this is going to affect anybody looking at low end PCs. If you want a low end PC with a bigger screen, more memory, and that kind of stuff, those folks are still going to kind of want that. Who I do think should be raising their eyebrow is Microsoft. Microsoft probably needs to come out with a Surface Book in this class that has this level of build quality, because now you've got something to where here's the Apple thing, and I can compare it to a Surface, and the Surface just ain't with it, and that's not a place where Microsoft wants to be. So I do think that a Microsoft probably needs to come out with a Surface in this price range. But outside of that, I don't see any reason that anybody's going to be switching. Now, all that being said, my gut tells me, and this is just because of all the buzz that this thing is getting, it's probably going to be the best selling laptop this year. I will not be shocked at all
Like I
if
said,
I see
Christmas
that.
is coming.
Christmas is coming up.
This makes an excellent Christmas gift. Like literally, if you were thinking about getting anybody a computer this Christmas, like the idea that you wouldn't, unless you were, you had already intended on going very high end, there's no reason you wouldn't get this laptop for somebody as a gift.
Yeah.
Like no reason.
Yeah, I see a lot of kids that, because so many schools are giving them the Chromebooks, they aren't getting any type of laptop in a lot of cases until they are like maybe that junior, senior in high school. They're getting something that they'll go to college with. I think you're going to see a lot of folks say, oh, you know what? This is not that expensive. I can go ahead and get, junior this for, for Christmas as an eighth grader or something like that. I mean, he'll just, have the cool MacBook kit in school when everybody else is using the Chromebook. I do think you're going to see a lot of that. So with that being said, I think it's going to be the best selling, but I'm pretty even killed. It is. I'll tell you, I have not seen a $600 laptop that felt this good. This feels like, oh man, this feels really nice. And thus far, even though it only has 8 gigs of memory in it, it seems to work just fine for doing all the stuff that I've done in it. Now, at some point, I will put DaVinci Resolve on here and try to edit like a 6K video or something and see what that does if it just breaks it. But that's not even my regular use case on this PC. It's very rare that I would ever do anything even that taxing on this PC that can more than handle that. So we'll see. It is an interesting experiment. I can't even say that I was pleasantly surprised other than the hardware build, because I've used Macs enough to know that I don't dislike the Mac operating system. It's just like, it's fine. I can browse the web on it just like I can on my PC. So
solid.
If we were to, continue to talk about Apple a little bit, Terrance, you stuck this in here, but WWDC has been officially announced coming up. When is it? June? Later this year?
Yes, June 8th through the 12th. The Worldwide Developers Conference is when Apple drops their latest buzz about software, i.e. iOS, macOS, all the other OSs. That is dropping, like I mentioned, June 8th through 12th in Cupertino, California. Of course, the very first day is when they do their keynote, where they announce all the cool new stuff that we can look forward to later this year as far as software. So you think of iOS 20 or all the OS 27s, which would be the next version, on top of, people are talking about maybe Apple will do some sort of announcement as it relates to AI, because they done a partnership with Google earlier this year. Time will tell if that is fast enough to go from making an agreement or having a deal to actually having something that they can implement between Apple and Google. But if they can, most people are talking about Apple Intelligence, that Apple will announce something along the lines of Siri with advanced AI capabilities, or Apple Intelligence, or they will announce what this partnership between Apple and Google Gemini is going to be. So I just wanted to put this story out here and get your all idea of what Apple may say, what they won't say, and if Apple will move forward with their intelligence, or will they wait another year? Because last year they talked about liquid glass in iOS, or all the OSs. Really didn't mention anything about the AI that we know it. They still were talking about their AI writing capabilities, make this sentence better, reminders, intelligent reminders. It could surface the important reminders that are on your devices, but that's about it. So I wanted to get your take. Is Apple going to go full bore with intelligence? Are they going to take their time as usual, or what?
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I think that Apple this year will go full bore into using Microsoft's stuff. Because they've already announced it. That's
Microsoft.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say Microsoft. I meant to say Google. That they're going to use Gemini. I think that it's going to be a lot about that, a lot about the integration that they have with Gemini. Now, to be clear, here is not.
Can they do that so soon? It's only been not even 6 months since they announced this partnership. I mean, we're already in March. That's just 3 more months until June, and this thing wasn't announced until what? Earlier this year. Is that enough for them to go to, hey, we got something, we're making this deal, to this is the cool new stuff we're going to do with it?
So my thought is this: I don't see Apple really ever being looked at or or I don't think people are going to perceive Apple to be an AI company. I just don't think that's in the cards for them any longer because they are too far behind. Now, let's say that they can do something that is going to come out and it's like, oh man, this is so much better than what OpenAI and what Gemini is and what Google is doing and what Perplexity is doing. Maybe they could leapfrog when they have released nothing yet that could do that. I just tend to read the tea leaves and don't think that that's the case because they are going full bore with doing integration into Gemini because they don't really have anything.
Right. But I'm saying, are they going to have time to announce that they're going full bore with Gemini when they just made it? I agree with you that they're going to start to integrate stuff, but can they do it in enough time to announce something at WWDC in June?
I think
so.
Yeah. Because I feel like, I'm sure they've been working on it well before they made the first announcement about how they plan to do this partnership. So I think we are going to see something as far as what that integration is going to look like. I just want to fix my John so I get my text message notifications. That's all. Can I get my text message notifications? Because I'm not getting them right now, Apple. I'm putting a call out right now. My text ain't showing up on my phone. So let's fix the basics before we try to get too fancy.
The reason I mentioned not Google, the reason I mentioned Microsoft, because I was thinking this, where Apple does not want to be when it comes to artificial intelligence, which I think that the consensus is that AI is the next big thing. We're in it, but it is the next big thing. And what they don't want to be is a Microsoft to where you don't have a phone platform. Microsoft tried, Windows Phone and Windows Mobile and all this, and it just didn't work out. And now Microsoft is in a situation to where Microsoft can't dictate anything that happens on a phone because they don't have one. They have to work with Apple. They have to work with Google. Now, it seems like the relationship with Google probably is a little better with Microsoft, and Google than it is with maybe Microsoft and Apple, which I don't think is bad. It's just that Microsoft does a lot of stuff on Google to make Google nicer to use. But I don't think Apple wants to be in that situation because we're already to the point to where I don't know that they can really catch up because there are people who are they decided I really like Gemini. That's just what they use regardless of what Apple's going to do. I really like ChatGPT regardless of what Apple's going to do. I really like Perplexity regardless of what Apple's going to do. There are already folks who are in the ecosystem they're in and they're just there. And because Apple has now said, oh, we now have our thing, doesn't it make you just drop that and go to it unless it actually competes very, very well with these other things. And I just find it very difficult to see that if you've not been putting anything out, if you haven't been getting the signals that everyone else is getting because they have product out there, how can you leapfrog them when they are really good at what they do? I mean, Google is really good at making Gemini. OpenAI is really good at making ChatGPT and so on and so forth. So for that reason, I think that Apple is definitely going to announce something, and it's just going to be, hey guys, we do have Apple Intelligence now. We've partnered with Google on this, but I think that is going to be, because, and that's also the rumors here. The rumors are saying that that's what they're going to do. That they're going to be announcing all kind of things that they are doing in conjunction with, with Google and even other players in this space. So I expect that we will hear AI, and it is as much of they've got to do something, even if it's partnerships, because you just can't go another year and not have anything and think that you're going to be able to come out, well, in 2027, Apple's is going to be the thing.
Yeah.
People ain't really thinking about you at that point anymore.
No, they absolutely do. And Solar Plexus Studios made a comment. I will maintain that Apple's view of containerized parentheses sort of AI is still the winning formula. The idea of using the best model based on the task is just smart.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean they'll figure out a way to make it work in their Apple way.
And that's all I've ever wanted them to do. Everybody says, oh, you got to leapfrog. Oh, you got to be at the top. Oh, you got to dominate AI. I don't believe you have to. All I believe you have to do is make it work for your people, who use those devices, which Apple's still struggling on that. I give them that 100%, but I don't feel like they need to, well, if we don't announce anything that's on par with Gemini or any of the other ones, that they're going to miss out on the opportunity. They do need to decide what's most important. Is data security, data privacy more important, or is keeping up with the AI arms race important? If Apple feels like keeping up with the AI arms race is most important because that's what's the hot thing, that's what's going to bring, I don't know, more money on their books as far as their stock market price. Again, that's all companies nowadays are concerned about, is what their stock market price looking like.
Mhm.
And if Apple feels like we need to do whatever to catch up with AI because that's what's driving the numbers, then they'll do it. But it's going to be kludgy. It's not going to be what we know as far as Apple is concerned. The negative is if they do stick with, we're going to do Apple and we're going to make sure it's secure and we're going to make sure it's private because we care about your privacy. We're not going to train on your data. We're not going to sell your data. All the things that the other people's doing, Apple's got to be okay with like being the bottom of the list as far as AI is concerned. And can Apple's ego deal with the fact that they are not even in the conversation when it comes to the top competing AI platforms? We'll find out if Apple can do that.
Yeah, I feel like they're good. There's an interesting conversation going on in the chat. Surveil and Solar Plexus are talking about Apple's programs. And I mean, I use them. I'm not gonna lie, and it could be just laziness because they're right there on the screen as far as like maps. They're apps.
Okay.
They're native apps, maps, mail, things like that. I mean, I think they're right there. So it's just easy. Honestly, it's easy. I can have all my inboxes in one place. Like, the AI stuff, I don't know necessarily that I am forcing myself to incorporate that into anything necessarily. So,
what I believe Apple for AI, Apple's version of AI is going to be the same thing Apple's version of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Keynote. We got it.
Yeah. But you can use it or not use it. Exactly. It's there if you want it, but
you know what I'm saying? And it integrates with all our stuff just fine. And it does what you need it to do. We got it, but ain't people going to do, if they need anything like what they're familiar with, or for instance, fast forward AI, people are familiar with chatbots or whatever. They're going to keep doing that. Apple's just going to be like, we got intelligence too.
Right.
So,
but are people even looking to Apple for software? That's the thing. I don't think they are. I think to your point, Rob, you just got a great Neo with a fantastic build quality that'll do everything you need it to do reliably. It'll last you a long time. I didn't change to Macs because they had all these great apps and features software wise and all these capabilities that I was looking for. That's not why I bought a MacBook. You know what I mean? I bought a MacBook because I knew it was going to be fast. I knew it was going to get, I was going to be able to multitask and do a lot of different things on there at one time. It integrated seamlessly with the phone that I currently use. So, it was functionality. It was hardware functionality more so than anything else that prompted and motivated that change. So I don't know necessarily, I mean, if Tim Cook's ego is going to make him try to keep up with the Joneses, that's one thing, but I don't think that Apple needs to keep up with the Joneses necessarily, especially as it relates to AI, because there are already so many different options out there that they could partner with.
So 2 points here. The first one is that I didn't even think about the built-in Apple apps on here outside of Safari. That's the only Apple app that I know that I'm actively using, because I've been told that it just the memory on it, the memory optimization in Safari is better than Chrome. You can open up more tabs. So I said, oh, let me click on this and let me start, because I did have to install Chrome, but I didn't even think about, like, what is it, Keynote, and I don't even know what the names of the apps are.
Pages. There's Keynote, which is PowerPoint. There's Pages, which is Word. There is Numbers, which is Excel. And then there's another one.
I have 107 tabs open on my phone in Safari, just FYI.
So the fact that, Terrance, you are the MacBook dude and you can't even think of the name of the app lets me know it wasn't even in my mind. I immediately put Google Drive on this MacBook. I immediately started opening up Gmail in the browser. I immediately, am going to Sheets. I'm immediately going to all the Google stuff, because that's the ecosystem that I'm in. So I think if I were to analogize that to AI, I am now someone that I would consider myself someone who is into AI. I am using it for it is part of my daily workflow to do what I do for a living. I'm into it. I've even made a switch from, I was paying for OpenAI's ChatGPT. I stopped paying them, and I'm now paying Claude, or paying for Claude, because I think it's a little bit better. And I also pay for Gemini. Those are the worlds that I'm in.
What kind of things are you doing?
So I'm using it for research. It helps me when I'm going out and, like when I'm doing Daily Tech News Show or Daily Tech Headlines or stuff like that, and I'm going out trying to find all the different articles about all the different news to figure out what I want to talk about on a day-to-day basis. It just makes it easy for me to see, okay, here's what this, with this, 19 paragraph report was about, or here's what this is. And it gets it all to me in one place to where I can see, oh, this is one I want to talk about. This is one I probably can skip to another show. This is one I don't need to talk about at all. It's helping me, come up with, a good roadmap for the things that I want to talk about on podcasts that I'm on. It also is helping me organize some of the stuff that I've been writing. So I've been telling you guys this for a long time, that I have an enormous amount of content that I've recorded over the years. And one of the things I started doing is running all of this audio content through Notebook LM to transcribe it and to help me, literally correlate it into a book for stuff that I might, rumor has it that Robb might be writing a book on podcasting and his take on podcasting. And I'm using these tools not to create the content. I've already done it, but to literally go and here's all the stuff that I've said in a podcast about podcasting. Go pull all that stuff together and then help me organize it so that I can actually figure out what goes where, what should be in what chapter, those type of things. These tools are very, very powerful for that. And because I'm using it for that, it's like, I wonder what vibe coding is like. I might actually just take a little class to see, is this something I'm interested in doing? I don't know that it is. That's not something that I'm doing right now. But the research on it, the stuff that I'm doing with Notebook LM, the stuff that I'm doing in Perplexity, just from a writing standpoint, it is truly impressive what some of these tools can do. So because I am into these tools, these are things that I'm paying for. Just because the phone that I decide to use or the laptop that I decide to use comes out with something like, hey, you can now do all this AI stuff that you've been doing. You can now do it with us. If it's not better, there's no reason for me to switch from something that I'm already using and already happy with. And I think that that's maybe maybe where there's a problem for Apple. Like I said, I don't see Apple ever being considered to be a AI company. I don't see that in their cards. I think that they've missed that boat. And I hear,
and I don't, and I think we go back and forth about this. I don't think Apple was ever trying to be a competitor.
I think they were.
As far
at one point, I think they were definitely trying to. I just think they were so late to the game that they realized relatively early on, hey, you know what? Let's just keep making this hardware buttery smooth, and that's where we make them hardware and services. I think that's where they decided to make their money.
Well, they wanted to be a name in AI, but I don't think they wanted to compete the same way that some of the other companies were competing. I don't think Apple had ever had any plans to make an AI chatbot. I just don't. I believe what they were going to do is, let's surface all your data you've been using on these devices all these years. Let me show you a better way, easier way, how to get that data, how to surface it, how to make it work for you based on all these years you've been using these devices. The problem is they couldn't find a good balance between privacy and security and new hotness. New hotness means
that part.
New hotness means you have to upload all your data. You got to share all your data. You got to let them train all your data. You got to possibly sell ads against that data. And Apple has never been that company. The problem is they couldn't even do what they wanted to do very well. So now they're like, so now they far behind on that part. Now I'm waiting on them to catch up on that part to say, hey, we've got a dope AI client that helps you utilize all your data that you've been stored all in our servers in the AI cloud and iCloud Drive and iTunes and notes and mail and all these places. You got all this data within our system. Let us put it all together and figure out how you can use it better. Now, if you want to figure out how to write a book with transcribing a whole bunch of podcast data, go use something else.
Right.
If you want to utilize
everything you're already using on our platform, we got you.
Okay.
And we gonna make it a better experience for you.
Maybe I will concede the point that, Terrance, you are absolutely right. That's exactly what Apple was going to do. Here's my counterpoint to that. So it doesn't matter. At this point, Apple may be solving a problem that nobody has. That is kind of where I think they're getting to, because what you can do in the cloud is so nice that I don't know that I'm ever going to want to here's the thing too. I'm not an Apple person, so I don't have a ton of data in iCloud. I'm not using all these other tools. I don't have that.
It's not going to be. It's not going to be for you.
So
but
it
for
may not be for me.
The millions of Apple users, once they figure that out, and make it make sense for the ecosystem.
Like I said, call me out if I'm wrong. I think that Apple's opportunity to do that was in 2025, and they better bring it in 2026. And I'm not getting any indications that they are on their stuff. I think it is going to be their stuff and Google stuff. So if you're telling me that we're going to be into year 4 of the AI boom, well into year 4, maybe pushing into year 5 by the time Apple actually starts doing its own thing. I don't know if doing its own thing is the thing anymore. It's kind of like, does it make sense for Microsoft to today come out with the phone? We're going to move into another story here about one of the things that Amazon is doing. Amazon is coming out with a new phone. Does it make sense for Apple to come out with a new AI 5 years into the game? Maybe. We will see. I'm just saying, from where I sit and what I see these LLMs doing, that Apple does not play in that world. I just don't know that whatever they do is going to be impressive enough that makes people say, wow, this is why I use Apple. Because I think that those folks, they're already using Apple. So it's just extra stuff at this point. So I don't know that there's really any reason that Apple even tries to catch up into do stuff that these other companies are doing. They're just going to let the other companies do it.
It's not going to be catch up. It's just going to be about optimization for Apple products.
So I kind of changed things around here, for time's sake, but I did want to talk about this Fire phone. So Amazon is secretly developing a new smartphone. It's codenamed Transformer, and is part of the renewed push into mobile devices following the failure of the original Fire phone. So back in 2014, folks may not remember this because the phone was out for just, I think, 14 months, but they actually came out with the phone. People might remember that Facebook back in the day came out with the phone. It was, I had both of them. They were both hot trash. The Amazon one was hot trash. The one from the one from Meta, then Facebook
phone.
was literally flaming on fire hot trash. I want to get you guys' take on this. Is a company like Amazon, can they put a phone out that enough people would get that it would actually make a dent in anything?
No.
Well, so that's the thing. You it's the put a dent in or compete with or catch up to or leapfrog. You know what I'm saying? Nothing has a phone out. Is it catching Samsung? No. Is it catching Google? No. Do they have a nice phone that people buy?
Yeah.
Sure. You know, same thing with
the Light. Isn't it called Light?
Light is like the little miniature phone.
Light
I'm thinking
phone,
like
yeah.
I'm thinking like a Nothing. I'm thinking like a OnePlus. OnePlus has got a good
You're
phone.
absolutely
Are
right.
they catching Google? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to kind of reframe the question. Is Amazon trying to come out with a phone that beats Google and iPhone? No.
That's not going to happen.
That's
never going to happen.
Can they compete with Nothing? Can they compete with OnePlus?
Yes, because they've got the data. They've got the services. Everybody and their mama uses Amazon. Most people with Amazon are on Amazon Prime. They've got Amazon Music. They've got Amazon, all the things.
But they ain't gonna be able to do that with no, like, what is that app store looking like?
It'd be Android.
Well, here's the thing. It'd be Android's app store. The problem that the last Fire phone had is that it wasn't stock Android. It was Amazon's Android.
Right.
It wasn't running like Google Play services or anything like that. And the Nothing phone runs Google Play services. OnePlus phones run Google Play services. So they have basically done what Samsung is doing, is like, hey, Google, you make a really, really nice operating system. We're going to use it. Now, we might put our own launcher on top of it, and we're going to make it, we're going to make it look and feel like us, but we're going to use your stuff because we know that that's where billions of people have their data. I don't know that that's the case with Amazon. So my question is not so much can they compete. I believe they absolutely, if they go the route that we are going to use Google Play services, and we will come out with a phone and we're going to allow you to have Gmail on it in the Google Play Store and all of the Google apps and all that kind of stuff that all the other competition that would be selling phones in the numbers they could sell them at. If they do that, they might be able to do something. I don't know, however, I don't believe that they could come out with their own phone with their own Fire OS on it and do any. I just don't see that.
What would give you
absolutely not.
What would give you the impression that they are going to do that again this go around?
You know what? I don't know. We have not seen what they're going to do. So I'm asking. This is us pontificating. Well, what do we think is going to happen?
It would have to be that price point. You also couldn't be asking for.
The last one was
Samsung and Apple.
It was $149 phone, and basically you got a year of Amazon Prime with it. So you literally just bought Prime.
If you could come out with a decent budget phone, and it don't even have to be $149, because I think they ended up chopping that price in when they weren't selling it, but it ain't got to be like that, but it can't be $1,000. I think you might be able to catch some folks in a $249-ish, $299 sweet spot if the hardware is decent quality, because I could see that hardware being hot garbage real easily. But if you can get some decent hardware in there, you get an Android OS in there, and you get a price point that ain't gonna be $1,000, you might be able to do something and convince people that they need all of the Amazon stuff on there as well. Because that's the other thing. I'm like, you don't need that shit. But if you're already kind of in that ecosystem, so to speak, and you do a lot of Amazon ordering, it's going to be hard to convince people why they need this phone. Because I know some other handsets like Nothing phone and everything like that they sort of quasi market themselves as that second device to reduce your screen time, or your second device if you have a work phone or something like that. They're going to need to really lean into the marketing for the use case for this phone, because it's probably going to be people's second phones, unless they come up with some sort of partnership with a Cricket or something like that, where they start giving them away with mobile plans. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get people to buy a new phone, especially if that price point is too high.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Amazon will make a heavy push for Alexa. That'll be their phone AI assistant. Will come up. We'll have all these little fancy commercials that shows how Alexa can do things on this Amazon phone, and then they'll show you being able to use Alexa to order stuff on Amazon faster and whatever. And there's a market for that. There are some old there. I mean, I say old. I don't want to be ageist. There are some people who rock with Alexa. Right. Because they've got the Echoes, they got the Echo Dots, and they got the Echo this, and they got the Echo that all through the house. And they're comfortable enough with saying Alexa X, Y, and Z. Amazon's going to say, all right, here's a phone that you can do that now. And people will be like, oh, bet.
Well, it's interesting that the article compared it to Star Trek, like a tricorder. So it kind of made it feel like they were trying to do something different, like humane AI or rabbit-esque.
Now, if they do that,
which is like, I think y'all need to leave that alone. Honestly, it sounds like, I keep going back to that movie, The Mountainhead, because I just feel like that's how those people actually think. And they just sit around like making bets with each other to see who could do the most outrageous thing. And I feel like, they was on Jeff Bezos's yacht at some point in the very near past, and they were like, I bet you can't do a phone again and make a phone and they bet $1, like Mortimer and old boy on Trading Places, like bet $1 that I could make this phone and sell, this many units or get people to do, like, it just seems so ridiculous, such a ridiculous idea for this company in particular, especially after the spectacular failure of the first one. It just feels like a ego-driven project that, they can write off the loss once it happens.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. Will I get one? Probably, yeah. Just so I can say I got this thing and here's what it is. I want to give you my take on it and kind of go from there. I do wonder, however, is there somebody in the steering committee that's saying, but people really don't want their phone to be a delivery platform for ads for our services? As great as some people may think that Amazon is, do you want your phone to be a delivery platform just so you can order products more easily and more quickly? Are there people who will say, yes, I want that? Yes. Are there enough of them for you to build a phone platform on top of it?
A whole
I don't know that there are. So I really am interested into seeing this. And as soon as I realize if you cannot run Google Play services on this, I will say that it is dead before it even gets started. Because I just don't think there's a big enough market for you to be able to sell enough of them to make it worth your while to sell it.
And again, the other thing is, Amazon is not in the smartphone business. So, there's a lot of people out there selling phones that are like freaking common off the shelf or white label devices from China somewhere. Like, if you're not going to be invested in actually design and manufacturing and chip and all this stuff, like, what are you even doing? Honestly, why are you just you basically slapping a sticker on a cheap phone and calling it the Amazon? Like nobody wants that. Like I said, unless you can find one that is decent and you only sell it for $250, don't nobody want that nonsense. Like it's even at, like I said, that price point is going to be key, because no one wants a cheap ass phone because you want a phone that's going to last you more than a year. But you also can't price yourself out in the market when you're offering something that you basically bought off the shelf. You know what I mean? And you're just white labeling a phone. So it's just like, what are you even doing? You know what I mean? Now, y'all just wasting money at this point.
So it sounds like the question is, does Amazon have the gumption to put a decent phone out there? And then if that's
right, like, be serious about it and actually design a piece of hardware that people would want to use and make a case for why your phone is superior. Don't just tell me you could order shit from fucking Amazon and that's why you should buy this phone. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
They could do it. I could see them partnering. I could see them treading the waters with China, working with Huawei. Because Huawei, they make some dope phones that we'll never see over here.
Right.
You go over the pond.
How to get around that little pesky government ban, basically.
They could do it. It's just, do they want to? Do they want to hard enough? Microsoft could do it if they want to hard enough. It's just they tried, and they just couldn't get enough developers to develop apps for Windows Phone. But again, competition is always good for the consumer. And I think it is stupid that only two main companies, Apple and Google, can make a dope enough operating system. Or because Google makes Android and Androids power all these other devices. I think it's stupid that there's only two main mobile OSs out there. And I think there should be at least two more. Now, is Amazon gonna make an OS? No. Microsoft, on the other hand, I think they could do another push, but that's just me wishing.
I think there would be a lot of people who would be interested in Microsoft doing this, and I kind of wonder. I think we're going to get to where when you're looking at how powerful these ARM processors can be, these processors that literally are powering phones can power whole laptops now, whole AI laptops. So I do wonder if Microsoft, if they just keep shrinking down Surface laptops until the point to where you can put those jokers in your pocket and say, hey, well, since you can put it in your pocket, we might as well throw a cellular modem into that thing and let you connect up to AT&T or Verizon or whatever. I wonder if that kind of happens, and it's basically it's just Windows on a ARM device running in your pocket. I do wonder if that is there. I don't know that they got burned so bad. I don't even know if they've got it in them to try that again. So we'll see. But y'all, this last story, I'm just going to mention it because it is kind of a big thing, and this can just be a quick 2-minute talk here. But the FBI has said that they are going to once again start buying people's data to use it to track them. Now, they had stopped doing this for a while, and you've actually got
do you really think they ever stopped?
That's a good question.
Because I don't believe that.
Yeah,
I don't believe that at
question.
all.
But yeah, just quickly, just want to kind of get your take on this. It's like, this is kind of what this is what I expect from this government, that we are going to surveil you at every stop that we possibly can. And even if this isn't legal to do, so let a court tell us that it isn't. That it's like we basically are going habitually line step until a court tells us that we can't do it, and then we'll figure it out. I think that's just the modus operandi for the administration that we're in. So I just want to get you guys' take.
It's up to the companies to not sell it to them.
Mm-hmm. But that's not going to happen either.
Look what happened to look what happened to Anthropic. They said we don't. Right. They didn't say we're not willing to even work with you to try to figure this out. We just don't want to do this right now. You know what? You can't sell software on Earth anymore. So that becomes the problem. Do you even want to be in a situation to where this would be something that the government can come back on you on? So, but yeah, this was a rather big story that happened last week, and it's just like, man, it's like, yeah, they're going to use the data. And to tell the whole story, what they're doing is they're going to go to data brokers, buy location data, and they can use that to circumvent getting warrants to find out, was this person in this place? They can just go buy all the data, and then once they have it, figure out where you were based off of where you pinged.
But technically, isn't that legal?
That's what they're saying. It's not illegal.
I mean, if it's publicly available data,
there are questions about it, but it hasn't been tested in court yet.
For a government to do it, obviously there's some,
creepiness.
Yeah, and you got to raise an eyebrow. But if the data is out there available for sale, like, the data's out there available for sale. Like, I don't know that you can say the government can't buy it because they shouldn't be surveilling. I mean, we're being surveilled. They're not surveilling anything. They're just taking advantage of the surveillance that's already happening. It's not like they are tracking us or they put something on our phones to track us here, there, and everywhere. The tracking and the surveillance is happening. It has happened. It happens. It's happening. It will happen in the future. That genie is out of the bottle. It's up to us as consumers to understand how to turn those features off if necessary, how to request that apps not track you across, platforms and track your, like, we have to, number one, be, smart enough and educate ourselves enough to know to disable these features. Companies got to stop being so slick and turning them on by default. And we have to go back and turn it off if we don't want that, so excuse me. And I'm not even standing for this administration at all. Y'all know that
argument that
however, they're not surveilling us. We have consented to be surveilled. And they're just taking advantage of that. And I don't know that you can claim that there's a problem with
Cash
that.
Patel said that we are using, quote, commercially available information legally gathered. And this is, it's a theory that we can do this. And the key here is that it has not been legally tested. During the Biden administration said, this ain't really good, y'all. We don't want you doing this. So they stopped. And now they're saying, you know what? It's not illegal yet. So we're going to kind of go and do it. Now, it'll be interesting to see if like Senator Ron Wyden gets his way, because he's saying that this is an outrageous end run around the Fourth Amendment. It might be. It hasn't been tested in court yet. So like I said, I think where we are is that the current administration is like, it ain't illegal right now, so we're going to try it. And then when you tell us it's illegal, we'll fight that in court until we either win or lose. And then we will figure out where the cards fall as they may once that happens. So as you said, protect your data, because it's out there and the government will use it against you.
That's it. Period.
So y'all, that was a good lively conversation that we had today, but we are at the bottom of the hour, actually the top of the hour. So time for us to go and get out of here. But before we do, want to let folks know that if you would like to support Tech John, you can do so by heading over to thetechjohn.com/Patreon. We are on Patreon. That is one of the best ways you can support us to, do a couple of things. If you do become a patron, you get access to a live free stream on some of the top tiers there. You also get access to our after party, which we're going to go to in about probably 2 minutes or so, where there's a little bit of after show that we hang out in. And it just allows us to bring this tech to you the way we bring it. So once again, if you are interested in supporting the show, head over to thetechjohn.com/Patreon. So with that being said, Tech Light Steph, tell folks how they can get at you.
Ooh, I think I got myself back there. Talk about allergies, the phlegm, that post-nasal drip hit the back of my throat like, anywho, you can follow me all around the web at Tech Life Steph, or hit my website up at stephaniehumphrey.com and check out my radio show on Sundays at 11 a.m.
And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And I'm on all the things at Robb Dunewood, and we're also on all the things at the Tech John, the Tech JAWN. So until we meet again in a week's time, peace.
Peace.